Here we are back with our workshop library cupboard, and in this video we're going to be installing doors. Hello everyone, Colin Cadet here for Woodworkweb. And in these doors that we're going to be making, we're actually going to be using what's called the Euro hinges or European hinges, and they're like a hidden hinge, and I'll show you a close-up of these. So there's what a Euro hinge looks like, and this area here, this part here, this is actually fastened to the carcass. This area here is what we fasten to the door, and you can see how that swings. So if we have a look at them at a bare hinge on our cabinet, there's the carcass, and there's 3/4 of an inch there, so they will fit on there like that. The door will fit on the front of this, and it will open like that. So this area here, we have to start off by drilling a hole in our door. Here we are at the table saw, and I'm going to be making rail and style doors. So I need to make material that is 2 inches. I like to make my doors 2 inches wide, and that's exactly 2 inches in there. And I've set the blade height so that it's about a 1/2 tooth above the material. So we're all ready to go and start cutting some wood. We're going to be making rail and style doors, and they'll look just like this. This is what the components will look like. So there's the stiles, the uprights, and the rails are the little pieces that fit in between. So we need to figure out, of course, now that we've cut the width, they're all 2 inches all the way around. Now we need to know how long to cut these, and the length of the cabinet is pretty easy. In this case, the finished cabinet works out to be 15 7/8, and the same on that side. So that's pretty easy. But what we need to figure out is the width in here. So let's have a look at how we do that. Now we're going to do some woodworking math to figure out what this is. So we know that the entire cabinet from here to here is 23 7/8. So half of that, which means from here to here, that door needs to be 1/8 less, so 11 15/16. It's a bad number, but that's what it is. So from here to here, 11 15/16. So that's half the door. But now we need to figure out what this is here. So we need to minus 2 inches here and 2 inches here. That means we're down to 7 15/16. But we also have to add in a little bit for the tongue on each side. Each one of these has a tongue that will fit into the groove of the stile. And in our case, we're working with a bit set. The router bit set is 7/16. Each one of these is 7/16. 2 7/16 and 7/16. What's that? 7/8. So now we have to add 7/8 to our 7/16. That makes it, what's that, 7 25/16. That's another crazy number. So that makes it 7 25/16. And that's exactly what this needs to be. But when we net that out, what's it work out to be? 8 8/16, 8.5 inches. What a great number. That worked out nicely. So that's what these need to be. That gives us enough room to cut the tongue on each side. I just got finished cutting the uprights, so this is what the stiles will look like. But it occurred to me while I was cutting them, if you're worried about the width in here, what you can do is take those pieces, lay them carefully on top of the carcass of your cabinet, and there's the middle mark, and I just put some tape in there so you can see that, and you put that right in the middle there, and then you can actually measure just to make sure that your measurements are right. Here we are at the router table, and there's those are the rails, all the rails, the little pieces. I'm going to be putting those through first. You always cut the tongues first because we use those to set up the height of the groove when we do that. So let's show you what this bit looks like. Tongue bit looks like. It's going to be cutting wood on both sides. So let's go ahead and do that. We want to use the tongue to determine the actual height. And off camera, I've set the groove bit, I've installed the groove bit, I've isolated it, and now I'm just going to test. And when this is perfect, when the bit is set perfect, there wants to be just a tiny bit of flaring on both the top and bottom of that tongue. And we're just going to touch it. And I can see there's quite a bit of wood. Okay, I lowered that bit. Let's try that one more time. That's perfect. I'll show you a close-up of that. And there you can see there's a little bit of flaring on both sides. That means that that bit is exactly in the middle. In the process of assembly, all we need to do is put a little bit of glue in the very end. We never want to make sure we do want to make sure that we never ever glue the panels in. The panels want to float inside. And we'll put some glue on that side and that side. Now the nice thing with pre-finishing is we don't have to worry about the glue when the glue squeezes out. If it does, that we're going to have to get finishing voids or finishing marks on there where we haven't sanded the glue off. So that's why we pre-finish, or we try to pre-finish as much as we can. And there I've just slopped some glue right on that stile, and that's exactly why we pre-finish, because now that'll wipe off of there very easily. Just like that, and that glue is off. That's good. And that's all there is to gluing up. I'll do the second one off camera, but that's what it looks like. Now the other thing that I like to do is I like to put a couple of pins in the back right through the tongues, and I'm just using some very fine, you can see them, they're very narrow little pins, and they're just going to go through the wood and into the tongue, and that's all it takes to hold that, because I don't even need to clamp it. I can just move on to the next one, and we're all ready to go. So that's all there is to making the doors. Here we are at the drill press, and all I have is this piece of plywood, and it's got what essentially is a fence, this piece of board screwed to the back end of it, and it will be my fence for this. And all I need to do is align the drill bit with the back of the fence so that it's 1/4 of an inch out. And it doesn't matter where this sits, as long as I use my little gauge here and drop the drill bit down so that it's pivoting on that. This can be any direction, it doesn't matter, because just like a router with a drill press, everything centers to the drill press. The other setting you'll have to make is these Euro hinges. The holes need to be 1/2 an inch deep. And I've marked on here, this is a 3/4 inch piece of wood, and you can see where I've marked that right at the bottom, and that's where that bit bottoms out. Okay, we're ready to drill the holes now. We've checked the bit for height, and we've done a test hole so that we know that we're deep enough. And I'm actually going to go to the 3-inch mark on these doors, and we're ready to drill those holes. So there's our doors, and a little hard to see, but there's the 2 holes, and those fit in there just perfect. There we go. Now all we have to do is put a couple of screws in there, and I have this, I don't know if you have these, if you have one of these, but this is like a centering bit, a little hard to see, but there's actually a bit inside there, and it self-centers on the hole so that you make sure you get your hole right in the center. The only thing we have left to do now, we've got the hinges mounted to the doors, and the only thing we need to do now is to mount the hinges to the carcass. And when I look in here, I can actually see quite clearly and pretty easily where they align on there, and it's really hard to see from the camera's perspective, but I'm just going to drill some pilot holes with the bit that I showed you earlier, and we'll be able to mount these screws in here so that we mount the doors on there, and it's going to be that simple. And that's how simple it is. Now all of these hinges have adjustments on them so that you can move them back and forth and in and out. And there's our finished library cabinet. All ready to start putting some books in, but let's hang it on the wall to see what it looks like. And I only have one place left in my workshop that I can hang it, so let's go over there and hang it up. And there's the cleat hanging on the wall, and I've already set that up so that it's level. And that's it. That's how easy it is. And the nice thing, because the cleat's on the inside, remember we have that little bit of a gap in there, so that means that the cabinet actually fits flush with the wall. And I couldn't wait. I actually went out and got a load of books to bring in. And that's our cabinet, our library cupboard for the workshop. This concludes our video on making a library cupboard, your very own library for your workshop. Someplace to store your books and your articles, your magazines, plans, all of those things that may be scattered around for you. This is a great little project. But before we leave, I want to remind you, if you haven't already, to subscribe to us. We ask you to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. I'm Colin Canet for Woodworkweb. Thanks for watching.